I need to go into something else about this book of Enki. And this deals with the creation of so-called Adam and Eve. And we're going back to actually after Adam and Eve were in the garden and they were not procreating. And there was a big issue with that. I'm still vetting this book, but I find that there are things in it that are valid. But according to this book, the first Anunnaki was Lelalu or Lalelu. And with him, he brought all of these weapons. On his way to Earth, according to this book, he had shot off one of those weapons because he was being hit by asteroids. So he shot off a weapon. And so once he got to Earth, the other Anunnaki started to come in, and then they found those weapons on his ship, and so they hid them. Okay? And then when this whole thing went down with Marduk, Enki was thinking, okay, they're trying to kill Marduk, but they don't even know where the weapons are. But they knew where the weapons were. So he came with 8. He shot one off, and then the ones that they hid were 7 of them. They hid 7 of the other weapons. And then after that, those are the ones that they ended up dropping across the planet. All right. So at this point in the book of Enki, Ningujita, who is one of the main people responsible for creating the humans, he decided to create a place, as they say, in the grass, and he just watched Adam and Eve as they were frolicking in the garden. All right. So here it starts, and for those of y'all who are looking, page 111. By the cages among the trees, Ningujita a couch of grass for himself made. Day and night, the earthlings he was watching, their doings to ascertain. Indeed, he saw them mating. The males, the females were inseminating, but the mitochondria was regulating. All right, that's my part. Conceiving there was not. Birth giving there was not. Enki the matter deeply pondered. The creatures once combined he contemplated. None, not one of them had offspring begotten. So according to this book, let's remember, if you read the book, you'll see it, that there were 7 males and 7 females that had been created, and they were watching all of them, and none of them were giving birth. So they're upset, by the way, that they're not, these beings are not procreating, because they need them at this point, because the Igigi are starting to revolt and they're not doing any work. And the only way they can save their planet is with the gold. And the Igigi were mining the gold, and now they're not. So they need some other beings to come down here and mine these gold, because, you know, you would think, well, get your butt out there and mine the gold. No, we need some other beings to do it. We can't do it. The Igigi not doing it. Well, somebody got to do it. Well, we need the other beings. So they're upset that they're not procreating. By 2 kind combined, a curse had been created. Enki to the other said. So Enki is like, we cursed. We're not going to save the planet. We're going down. Let us, the essence of Adamu and Tiamat, afresh examine. So Ningujita was saying, I'm going to look at them. Let me check these DNA. Their MEs, bit by bit, to be studied, what is wrong to ascertain. Somebody said that ME could stand for mitochondrial extractions, right? Meaning they got this table or whatever, this chart, and they're examining all of the DNA of Aduma and Tiamat, which is Adam and Eve. All right, in Sharubak, in the house of the healing, the essence of Aduma and Tiamat were contemplated with the life essence of an Anunnaki males and females. They were compared. So they comparing the DNA of the Anunnaki and the humans. Like 2 intertwined serpents, Ningujita the essence separated, arranged like 22 branches on a tree of life. Pay attention here. See, this is why I go into science. This is why I go into understanding who we are, because when I look at these things and it's saying whatever they're saying, and this now they're talking about science now. And I want to know, does it match up with what science say? And we ready to find out. We ready to take notes and pay attention. So what they're saying here is, like two intertwined serpents, Ningujita, which is thoth, the essence separated. So he's separating. And what is intertwined? Well, that DNA strand, arranged like 22 branches on a tree of life, were the essence. Their bits were compared, the images and likeness they properly determined. 22 they were in number. The ability to procreate they did not include. How many is that? 22. Y'all like, what the hell talking about? What she talking about? What she gonna pull up? Hold on. So we've talked about this, and I've gone through what the X chromosomes and the Y chromosomes are, and why we need to be paying attention to what they are. Okay. So I need to show you something that we're not told and should be told. Now again, Zechariah stitching, it could be false. But I'm just telling you why I respect it, because it's in alignment with everything that I've studied. Notice when you're talking about the Anunnaki and the female Anunnaki, what he's got to study is right here. Okay, we got 22 over here. That's what it had. And we got 22 over here. And what's the Anunnaki had 24. Okay, let me finish this part and then we're going to get into it. Another 2 bits of the essence in the Anunnaki present, Ningujita to the others showed. 1 male, 1 female. Without them, there is no procreating. So he to them explained. In the molds of Aduma and Tiamat, in the combining, they were not included. So the Anunnaki have 24 according to this. And let's pay attention here to this image. Here are your main 22 chromosomes. Your main 22 chromosomes. But in the male and female, what they didn't include were these 2 sex chromosomes right here. And because they weren't included, they were unable to procreate. This is what gives the penis and the vagina whole thing. Because without that, there's no need for a penis and a vagina. But they created that and then left out this sex chromosomes, both of which are X's. And let's be clear, all of these are X's. All of these in the sperm are X's. All of these in the female's eggs are X's. But they didn't have this 23rd chromosome here. And that's what this book is saying they had to add in order for them to be able to procreate. That's according to the book of Enki. This is one of the reasons why I give it respect, because it's like this thing is in alignment with science. Okay, let me continue. To his elders, Enki and Ninmah, in the house of healing, he whispered. They all, the heroines who Ninmah were assisting, sent away. Meaning there was other females in the room. And they was like, y'all gotta go. Get out, get out, get out. Why were they being secretive? And why was he whispering? They locked the door behind them. If you stay tuned, you're gonna find out why they whispering. They locked the door behind them, the 3 with the 2 earthlings alone remaining. Upon the 4 others, Ningujita a deep sleep caused to descend the 4 he made unfeeling. So he put them to sleep, and then he gave them whatever that is to numb them so that they don't feel the pain when he get ready to cut into them. From the rib of Enki, the life essence he extracted. What was he extracting? He was extracting stem cells. Look it up. Well, what is stem cells? Stem cells can be anything you want them to be. So he's got to go into the ribs of Enki to extract stem cells. Into the ribs of Aduma, the life essence Enki he inserted. So in Adam, he put a life essence from Enki. From the rib of Ninmah, the life essence he extracted. Into the rib of Tiamat, the life essence he inserted. He just gave them more Anunnaki DNA. This is where your rib story comes from, by the way. And if you are not aware that the Bible has not been telling you the whole story up to now, I don't know what else to tell you. If you're not willing to study outside of that book, there's nothing else for you. Because if you're not aware by now that it's not possible for a female to come from a male, you're not ready to learn. You're not ready to grow up. So I'm not talking to you. All right. Where the incisions were made, the flesh thereon he closed up. Then the four of them by Ningujita were awakened. It is done, he proudly declared, to their tree of life. 2 branches have been added. In the Eden's orchard, to freely roam, Adam and Tiamat were placed. Of their nakedness they were aware. Of malehood and femalehood they were knowing. Tiamat of leaves aprons made. So what it's just saying is now they knew they was naked. Whereas before they didn't know they were naked. When they added more DNA to them, they became more knowledgeable of their nakedness. They became more aware. From the wild beast to be distinguished. So she made leaves, and this was supposed to distinguish her from the wild beasts. In the heat of the day, Enlil in the orchard was strolling. The shade he was enjoying. Without expectations, Adumu and Tiamat he encountered. The aprons on their loins he noticed. He, Enlil, is like, what is going on? He's seeing that these humans are now running around covering themselves up, which is what they weren't doing before. What is the meaning of this? Enlil wondered. Enki, for explaining, he summoned. It's like, Enki, come over here. What's going on? The matter of procreation, Enki to Enlil explained. The 7 and 7 had failed. So there were 7 of them, as I told you. And they failed to Enlil, he admitted. Ningujita, the life essence examined, and additional combining was needed. Great was Enlil's anger. He's livid. Furious, his words were. The whole thing was not to my liking. I didn't like this in the first place. For acting as creators, I had opposed. I didn't want to be no God. I told you not to do this in the first place, Enki. The being that we need, it already exists. So were you, Enki, saying. You said it's already here. All we need to do is put our mark on it. Pay attention, people. There was other beings already on the planet. They just inserted their DNA to create another being that they could control. This book is telling you that. And then there's other books. Again, these translations are very much in alignment with the other translations that are coming from the Sumerian civilization. The being that we need is already exists. So you were saying, Enki, all we need is to put our mark on it, thereby primitive workers to fashion, healing heroines themselves put at risk, meaning you put other Anunnaki at risk with this whole madness that you're doing, Enki. Ninmah and Ninki were endangered, which is Ninmah the sister and Ninki his wife. To no avail was all your handiwork. It was a failure. Now the last bits of our life essence to these creatures you have given, you gave them all of our DNA. To be like us, procreating, knowing, perchance our life cycles on them to bestow. Enlil was angry in these words he was speaking. Enki, Ninmah, and Ningujita summons the words Enlil to pacify. So they're trying to, calm down, bro. Listen, it's going to be all right. My Lord Enlil, Ningujita was saying, knowing for procreation they were given, the branch of long living to their existence tree was not. In other words, we gave them how to procreate, but we ain't give them our life longevity. I mean, they still die before us. Pay attention. They don't want them to be equal. They don't want the humans to be equal. So we're not giving them our longevity of life, but we had to give them procreation because we need them to procreate because we got to get the goal. Okay. To the Abzu away from the Eden, let them expel. So it was Enlil. Watch this. Then to them, beware, they are needed. Enlil with anger said. So get the ham sandwich out my garden and get to work. The Abzu away from the Eden, let them be expelled. Get out. That's why they were kicked out of the garden. Anybody paying attention? Remember to keep that bell on for notifications. Follow UNA Republic for more great information.